Hi everybody, I'm Leslie Youngblood. Welcome back to Owning It. Today we have Andrea Williams, founder and owner of Andrea Designs Studio, as well as the founder and creator of Paisley Paper Co. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Leslie.
I'm so excited to have you back. Really, Andrea and Paisley Paper were our first Tenacity Tales feature that we did all the way back in 2018.
Yeah, when was that?
It was years ago now, and so much has happened. And it was August 2018. Yep, there's my notes, right? So everything's changed. Obviously, we've had coronavirus this year and all sorts of crazy, things have changed since those 2 years that you were doing that. You were working still full time in the agency world, but back then too. So I would just love to hear about Paisley Paper Co. and what's just been going on in the past 6 months with you.
Yeah. So I left my full-time job at the ad agency in February of this year. Perfect timing right before coronavirus.
Who knew?
Who knew? But to be honest, so around that time, like Paisley wasn't really a focus because I knew that I wanted it to be, but I knew that leaving my job, just moving my efforts towards Andrea Designs would be the more profitable thing to kind of help with the gap between leaving my full-time job and going on my own. So Paisley wasn't really a focus. And like I said, I wanted it to be, but just financially, I knew that I couldn't do it. Then the coronavirus thing happened. Then the initiatives to buy Black and support Black businesses happened.
Right.
And I've had such a surge of orders and interest in my work. So now I'm like, well, I never wanted to give up on my baby, but so now I'm back. So I'm back in trying to balance both and trying to make new cars, new products, and see where I can take it from here.
I love that because I think that number one, it's like any child or baby, it never leaves you. You can't escape your children, right? Lest you think that you're free from your child, like they're always going to be around. But number two, I also think that that's really important and poignant for any small business owner. There will be times where it's like your priority, but then maybe some times where you kind of step away from it. And then there'll be times when outside of your control or an outside circumstance brings you back to it and to focus on it a little bit more. So when you weren't focusing on it, was it because your full-time job was pulling away, or was it that you were just thinking or focusing more on Andrea Design Studio? Tell me a little bit more about, or was it just kind of like a machine that you kind of put out there and we're just letting it kind of do its own thing? Because you were in local stores, you have your online shop. So tell me a little bit about kind of where it was at and why you're just kind of letting it go.
It was really just like a financial decision. I just knew that I wasn't sure how I was going to even be on my own.
Gotcha.
Financially. I did the numbers and I thought that I would be fine, but it definitely was, whereas Andrea, the freelance aspect, like people are paying me.
Sure.
For Paisley, I'm paying out people to produce a product and then I have to sell it. So, so it was like, I can't really commit to having that kind of financial obligation right now. So, and even before I quit my job, I had a couple orders and I am in some stores, but I wasn't really promoting it, and I didn't really, and I wasn't really putting much effort towards it. So I was just like, okay, when the time comes and little did I know that the
Yeah.
time will be now, but
Yeah.
when the time comes, it'll come back around and I'll be inspired to create some new cards and some new
Mm-hmm.
products and stuff. And so I wasn't really worried about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I did miss it. For
Gotcha.
sure.
And so, and I love that it kind of surprised you with how popular and like the support was to
Mm-hmm.
support Black owned businesses and small businesses, and, support businesses that stand for social justice, and with, the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. And you saw such a surge in your sales. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, when did you see that happen? How did it happen? And I know that you mentioned when we previously talked that your orders were backed up, right? And so how did you also handle communicating with customers that thank you so much, but you have to be patient with me?
Yeah, so it probably started end of May.
Mm-hmm.
So literally right around the George Floyd situation and the protest that came from that. And it was kind of a push from that on. And yeah, the phrase "stay ready so you don't have to get ready" is a real thing. Because I had a couple orders, 1 or 2 a month, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it was enough for me to handle as far as like inventory and like things that you don't even think about until, or at least I don't, until the last minute, like, oh, I don't have mailers. I don't have, enough sleeves to put my cards in. I don't have enough, whatever. So all the little ancillary things that come with sending an order out. So it was like, oh, wait, hold on a second. I love everybody. Thank you so much. But please, I didn't even have enough mailers. Like I didn't even have anything to ship the cards or product in at the time, so it was really just like, okay, I need to get ready. And it wasn't, I felt bad because people waited a long time to get orders, but it taught me a very valuable lesson though, because two things: being ready for how business moves, but then also that I really needed to get a handle on my inventory and like my process behind the scenes. And so I'm working towards that now. And again, that was something that, because I didn't really have a lot of orders and things were kind of manageable still, at the first part of this year and the end of last year, I was like, oh, I can get to my inventory later. I can figure it out later. And then when it became time where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have this particular item that someone just ordered. So then it just was like, okay, no, Andrea, you need to get it together and figure it out. And so I'm working towards that, and it's going to make me a better business lady. So
100%. So what did you use, just like an Excel spreadsheet before? Did you just kind of count things randomly, and like, what are you moving towards now?
Yep. So I'm a designer.
Right. Which though it's like, so like the entrepreneur's milieu. Like I got in this business because I love to make cupcakes. Like I can't keep books. Like I can't hire or fire somebody. Like, so you're a designer and you're like, I have to do inventory. Like
what is that? I don't know.
What is inventory? Gross.
Yeah. So I just count, and that's what I've been doing. Yep. We're telling all the business on this here show, but so I would just count, and that's not, it works ish
until
and so now, yes, I will be, I've had a spreadsheet that I just have not really updated, and because Excel terrifies me, to be honest.
I agree.
So I do have something like that I just need to like sit down on a day that I'm not busy. Like when is that? But
whatever that will be.
but to sit down and just really get into it and figure out how to make it work.
Gotcha. So where do you see Paisley Paper going now in like the next 6 months and even in the next year? I'm sure it's a completely different place than what you were thinking before. You're pitching Paisley, I believe this week or next. And
this week. Tomorrow.
So what are the goals? Have you made new goals? Have you kind of are thinking like, okay, once I'm done with the pitch, then I'll figure it out? Or like, how has your direction for Paisley Paper Co. changed moving forward now?
Yeah, so I never really had goals for it. Like, it was really like, I mean, it was really just something fun that I like to do. I made products that I wanted to see, you know, out in the world. So again, retroactively, this pitch that is tomorrow is kind of helping me guide like what I actually wanted to be. Because like I said, I hadn't really thought about it in a couple months. So as far as goals, like I would love to be able to expand my product line. So instead of, for example, having one style of planner, I would like to have several styles of planner.
I'm just going to pull my Paisley notebooks over so I can show them.
Instead of, I love those so much. So instead of having just the 4 notebooks, maybe having like, you know, a whole, like those are the blue notebooks. So, you know, maybe have, you know, a whole nother line that is aesthetically different. Like, so to have lines within my line would be a goal for me product wise. As far as like distribution, I mean, it's every stationer's dream to be in like a Paper Source or to be in, you know, some of the popular stores, you know, on the East Coast or West Coast or Midwest. But for this pitch tomorrow, in particular, I am just happy that I will be able to show my stuff to people that are interested. And I'm already nervous, so I can't really handle the idea of like, oh my God, you know, Paper Source could order something for me after this pitch. I can't think about that right now. Like I have to think about just getting through my 5 minutes and being appreciative of the opportunity and hoping that something comes out of it, whether it's immediate or 6 months or a year down the line, that's fine. But yeah, I'm just happy to be invited.
Gotcha. So let's just put something out there. So like, cause I listened to a podcast once and it was the founder of Supergoop sunscreen. And she had talked about how Sephora was their elephant. Like if one day they could ever get into Sephora, that's their elephant, or that they're like seeking, or diamond or what have you, or their unicorn, right? What is Paisley Paper Co.'s unicorn right now?
So, I mean, I would say Paper Source, but honestly, I'm not sure if, like, you know, my cards are a little, you know, they're a little risky.
Edgy? Yeah. So fun, like, cheeky.
Yeah, cheeky, you know, so I'm not even sure if, I mean, and I have some that are not, you know, obviously, but for the most part, they're a little sassy, a little edgy. So I'm not even sure if they would fit necessarily into a Paper Source. So, I mean, some could, and I absolutely would love, you know, love that. But if someone is interested in more of my edgier stuff, which is the majority of my stuff, then I would just want it to go in a shop where people go for those kinds of cards, you
like
know,
the local small businesses, which is so important to every community. Sure.
So, you know, if that means that you know, that Paper Source orders one card, but, you know, 50 small businesses or small shops across the country order 2 cards, that would be
that's success.
That is success to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.